You're in the right place. This is the Eatfluencer podcast, and I'm your host, Dr. Maggie Landis. Together, we are going to unpack everything about eating and discover the what, when, and how that will let you lead your best life. This is not your doctor's conversation about nutrition. Today is when you can start to love eating again. Let food be food and you be you. Get ready to get Eatfluenced. And welcome back to the Eatfluencer podcast. I'm Maggie Landis, and I am the host here. I'm glad you're joining me, whether this is your first time or you are a repeat listener. I'm so thrilled to have you here. And every time I sit down to record this, I'm excited because I get to share more of this information with you. And this information is the anti-diet mission. This is the disruption of a diet culture narrative that we have all been subscribing to for decades. And this podcast is designed to give you perspective, provide evidence, give you some information, maybe a little entertainment so that you can participate in this movement too. If you've not met me before, I'm a physician and a public health nutritionist, but I now work exclusively in this anti-diet space, and I have a business coaching women. And here's what I want to tell you before we get into today's episode, which is episode 42, how to avoid a setback in your closet. But here's the announcement I want to make. My group coaching waitlist is open. And I make a big deal about that because I only open this program about 3 times per year. And so it's not something that you can always have access to. The waitlist is open now. The enrollment will start on August 2nd, and then the group will start the week of August 9th. But let me tell you why this is important to think about. I'm thrilled you're here on the podcast listening. If you are in my private Facebook group, or if you are following me on social media, I love that you want to be part of this conversation. But the reason to work with a coach like me is to compress time, to make all these little bits and pieces of information that you're gathering from here and there, and this book and this podcast and this person, putting it into like one package where it is organized, actionable, and you can actually do all the things that you're thinking about and hearing about. So, leaving diet culture is a process, but the reason to do it in a community with a professional guide is to get you through that process the most comfortably and efficiently possible. So the links, like I said, are in the show notes, and all the options, you can click on the link and see. I have several price points for anyone who is serious about changing their life and getting out of diet culture. All right. You all have an open invitation. Consider that on the table. So getting into today's episode, how to avoid a setback in your closet, right? I got this, kind of idea because this is a lot of the conversation happening with my friends, with women in my Facebook group, just with women I know. If you're listening to this in real time, it's July, right, of 2021. And is there a single one of us who looks visually and our body is the exact same that it was, let's say, February of 2020? Not a one of us, okay? The last year and a half, what we collectively have been through is incredibly stressful, okay? And whether you yourself had illness, had COVID, perhaps you even lost family members or loved ones with COVID, you were a healthcare worker who was just up to your eyeballs with the pandemic stress. Many people had financial issues and employment issues. We had kids out of school, homeschooling, work from home, this whole isolation from our friends and our social activities. And there was just a lot of fear for a lot of reasons. This last year and a half was not normal. This was not what we expected. This was not planned. So take a deep breath. All right. For many of us, our bodies have changed. I would say probably everybody I know. And for many of us, that change is that our bodies are bigger. And we now, in a lot of places, are starting to re-enter the world and go to the workplace and go out and do social activities and go back to church and go all the places we were going before. And we look different. And a lot of our previous clothes that we wore 18 months ago may not fit any longer. And this sounds like a small, really superficial issue, but it is a major mental roadblock. And if you're in this place in between leaving diet culture and fully embracing this undieted life, you're kind of in the no man's land, this can be a major setback. This can be the tipping point that makes you want to sign up for just one more diet plan. Just download one more app, reinstall MyFitnessPal one more time. It's just such a fragile intersection that I thought it was worth talking about on the podcast. There is just way too many tears being shed in closets all over the world. So I want to first validate your feelings, let you know you are normal. This is normal to feel this way, but we really need to do the work and unpack them a little bit and start figuring out the diet culture backstory of some of those feelings. And as always, I am not going to just talk without giving you some actionable tips that you can apply every single morning in your closet so that you aren't experiencing this setback over and over and over. Because I don't want you to feel stuck or lost or derailed or any of those things, which I know some of you are feeling. So let's kind of get into this, okay? It is okay to have negative feelings about your body changing. But if we sit there in those feelings and bury them and create a chronic stress response, it does a big disservice because, first of all, it doesn't give us an opportunity to learn from where we are, but it also creates a stress response that really, truly, on a molecular level, changes our physiology. That is how our body changed over the last year and a half anyways. Now, diet culture, the message they're giving you with all this, quote, get your pre-COVID body back and all this baloney, their message, of course, is that you sat around your house, ate too many snacks, and didn't go to your gym because it was closed. Well, that's not what really happened, okay? What really happened is you had a 12, 15, 18-month-long emotional state that caused physical stress on your body. And without making this a biochemistry lecture, I mean, that includes your cortisol going up, your appetite hormones being dysregulated, your blood sugar goes up. That makes your insulin go up, which then insulin tells your body to store fat. And then the drop in your insulin and that increase in cortisol makes you have cravings. And so you eat high energy foods because your body is physically telling you to do that. So then you eat the food that you, quote, aren't supposed to. So you feel bad about it and you beat yourself up, and then you have more negative emotions and more stress response, more cortisol, blah, 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 blah. So it just keeps going. So the majority of the reason that your body changed over the last year and a half is not the food. It is not the gym. It is not your willpower. It is diet culture, and it is the negative stress response of the pressure from diet culture that landed us in this place. So how do I know that? Because the diet culture, the diet industry has something to gain by making you believe that you are the problem. Them telling you that it's your willpower, your response, your, what am I trying to say? Behavior around food, your gym membership, their business model depends on you being dependent on them. And so if they can make you believe that your eating, your gym attendance is the problem, then they have something to sell you, because that's the solution, whatever they are selling. But here's the deal. You are not broken. Your body has survived something that it did not even anticipate encountering. And it's okay. It's okay to be sad that your favorite jeans from 2 years ago don't fit. That's okay. It's also okay to respect what you and your body have been through. And it's okay to have those two feelings coexist at the same time. So I hope that makes you feel a little more normal or less crazy or whatever the word is, because diet culture will swoop in at any sniff of insecurity. That is what they are built upon. So when they see us, stressed out in our closets looking for clothes and blaming ourselves, you better believe that is the headline of their advertising, because that's how it works. But what do you want to do? I mean, do you want to be stuck there? Because that's, of course, a choice. I mean, the pandemic is a challenging situation. It was and continues to be a challenging situation. But, we have a choice of how we look at it. I think anything in your life, anything, no matter how upsetting and devastating and catastrophic it feels, you do have the choice in how you respond. So maybe just look at it this way. Your body changing a little and it's making you uncomfortable is pushing you to the place where you want to learn a little bit more about body acceptance. You want to investigate the idea of body respect and body neutrality. Maybe you are here to learn some emotional tools that you can pass on to your daughters and start doing stuff in your home so that they don't end up here. Maybe, in short, you're here at this intersection listening to this very podcast for a very specific reason. I don't know, but I know that this is going to help you and make you feel like you are not alone. Because that's the other thing, is that the diet culture mentality thrives on isolation. It is essentially like an abusive relationship, and it thrives on making you feel like you're crazy and you're the only one going through this. But I'm telling you, you're not. I'm telling you, every woman listening to this, myself included, this whole issue with not fitting into our clothes from 2019 is a sticking point. So what I'm going to do is go through a couple of kind of big categories that I think this different issue falls into, and give you some thoughts and some ideas to kind of reconcile some of those feelings. And, you can see what resonates with you. They may not all apply to what you're feeling. They may all apply, or maybe just one or two of them. But I'm going to go through these, as systematically as anything on this podcast ever is. But I want to give you some tips. Okay, so the first thing that I hear a lot is, I don't want to buy bigger clothes because it's a bigger size than you've ever been. Maybe you are in the biggest body that you have ever lived in, and that feels scary. So without judging your feelings, I do think there's some value in kind of dissecting them a little bit. So what is the hang up with being in a larger body? Is it somehow related to a fact that you see this as your personal failure, and that diet culture, echo chamber of you eat too much, you don't exercise enough, you sat around your house last year eating snacks and skipping the gym? I mean, that blame game, if that's the problem, maybe what I explained at the top of this show about the stress response, the cortisol, the physiology, the fact that your body's response to stress is very specific, and many of the hormonal and biological changes that happen under extreme stress involve weight gain. I mean, does that make you just feel better hearing that? I hope so. Maybe, this is related to the fact that you can't buy new clothes. I mean, it is a privilege to have money to be able to just go out and buy clothes or get online and buy clothes. And I was recently pointed towards a couple of awesome services that some friends of mine have mentioned. And I will tell you, I have not personally used these services that I'm about to name. And so this is not like an advertisement. I don't have any affiliation with them. In fact, I've never even used them. But I know that clothes are expensive. And I know buying clothes in bigger sizes and then even bigger sizes and then smaller sizes and all the clothes is a thing that not everybody can do. But maybe some of these sites such as ThreadUp, Poshmark, Free Cycle, Vinted, those are all places where you can list your own current clothes that you need to get rid of for sale and either earn money or earn credits in their system to then purchase other people's clothing. So that's an idea if money is a rate limiting step here. Maybe you could even have a clothes swap. I mean, basically, we're all going through the same thing. We are all in different size bodies. So maybe we need to just all like realign the clothes with the proper bodies. You know what I'm saying? Like in a big, huge, swap meet. Maybe that's something we could do. You know, the other thing too is, are you stuck not buying a bigger size because you feel like the number on the tag means something about you? And if it does, I hear you and I feel you. I have felt that in the past, but that means you need some more work to get out of diet culture. Because here's the deal. Would you say that to a friend? And by say that, I mean like if their clothes size went up, would you say that they are less of a friend, that you care about them less, that you are less supportive of them, that you want to be around them less? No, you wouldn't say that. You wouldn't say that to your friend or your sister or your mom, or you wouldn't even probably say it to just a casual acquaintance because it's not relevant. But why do we say it to ourselves? Because we do. Because you don't want to buy the bigger clothes because it says something about your value. And I'm not blaming you for thinking that. But I'm pointing out that you're still in diet culture if that's what's going through your head, because that's the diet culture dogma, that larger bodies are less valuable and less desired, and we should do everything possible to not be in a larger body. Period. That's what they thrive on. So we need to do a little soul searching about this and really reflect on this belief system, because it's not ours. We have adopted it from the cultural conditioning. And it's your choice whether you want to retain that and make that yours or not. But I would argue that you probably don't, because if you don't talk to other people like that, then it's really not probably part of your value system to think like that and to treat people like that. And so we should treat ourselves at least as well as we treat the people around us. So that's a little something to think about there. Now, here's another place that this is sort of, I guess, number 2, is I hear people saying, I need to wear these clothes that are tight because this is the size I'm, quote, supposed to be. And if I feel them tight on my body, I will be motivated to, quote, be better. Whatever that means. I guess better means going to the gym and eating vegetables. I'm not really sure. That's why I hate words like better and supposed to be. But there is no size you're supposed to be. Your body is a magnificent, dynamic machine that is adaptable and adjusts itself in every regard for the situation at hand. Sometimes that involves the size of the body. We don't have wild labile swings in our weight if we are intuitive eating, listening to our body, honoring its needs, but most of us don't live in that place yet. And so, we get to a place where there are these a little more dramatic swings in size and weight. But this is your body. This is your body. Now, you have this body now because of the pandemic, this stress, this, sort of subacute chronic stress response that we are living with, which is being accelerated, mind you, by the diet culture shaming us for our bodies. But if we can all agree that the tag on the clothes doesn't define somebody else's value, then we can probably agree the tag on the clothes doesn't define our value. So why would we think cramming ourselves into too small of clothes is going to motivate us? You will be reminded, if you're wearing ill-fitted clothes, every minute of every day that your body is different, that your body is bigger than it used to be. So now, if you do that, instead of just dealing with all these emotions when you get dressed in the morning and when you're putting your clothes away in the closet, you're going to have to think about this every minute of every day, all day long, with the pants that are digging into your waist and the buttons that are pulling on the front of your shirt and whatever else is the problem. And what does a chronic subacute stress response do? Well, we already talked about that. The cortisol response, insulin, blood sugar goes up, cravings, negative emotions. We, have this sort of self-propagating, self-fulfilling prophecy where we think it's miserable and then it becomes more miserable. And it will. It will. If you sit around in poorly fitted clothes, first of all, you're going to be reminded constantly. And why should we do that? So the answer is to weed out. And I mean weed out. I went through an exercise a couple months ago in my own closet where I took out everything that I can't wear right now in my body right now. And I took out a lot of clothes. All right. I'm not even really a clothes person. I didn't get the fashion gene that a lot of women have, but you've got to get all of the things out so that everything in there that's in your visual field that you can put your hands on and look at every morning when you get dressed, you could potentially wear. And if all you have left after you've weeded out everything is 2 shirts and 2 skirts, then great. You'll mix and match and have 4 outfits, and you'll do laundry every 2 days, and that's it. But you really deserve to put yourself in a position to not be set back every day. So, you want to make your day at least start off neutral or good. Because if you start your day in your closet trying on 9 outfits that don't fit and beating yourself up because you still have this little remnant of diet culture talking to you, your day is going to be wrecked. And, it does, like I said, affect your emotions and your physiology, and it's just going to be that much harder to climb out of this cycle. So take out everything. Now, here's the deal. So pack them in a box. And this goes into step 3, whatever it is, number 3. I don't know. I have some notes here and we're on number 3. But, the other thing I hear is I'm not in diet culture. I'm not ashamed of my size, but I actually just love the clothes. Some of them cost a lot of money. They have good memories wrapped up in them. I'm sad I can't wear them because I actually love the clothes. So here's where your box packing skills are going to come in handy. Just like I said a minute ago, put them in a box, out of sight, out of mind, okay? If you're not ready to release them completely and sell them or donate them or give them to somebody else, then put them in a box, out of sight, out of mind. Who knows if you will ever wear them again? Your body may be bigger in the future. It may be smaller in the future. You may or may not ever be in a size where those clothes fit you properly. But at least you're not seeing them right in front of you every day. You're not constantly thinking about where you wore it and the memories you have of wearing it. You won't be thinking about the money you spent on them and the ones that are hanging there that still have tags. that you bought in Christmas of 2019 and have yet to wear because you never wore them before the world shut down and now they don't fit. So you have to just get it out of the way. And I predict what will happen when you do that is that when you get rid of that physical clutter, you will get rid of some of that emotional clutter. And you may find that you even forget where you put the box. And you forget what's even in the box. And it's a better way to let go of a thing that is not continuing to serve you. So, the bottom line, I want to kind of land the plane here, but the bottom line is I get it. It is very stressful not to feel good in your clothes. It is very stressful to remember when you were smaller and what you were doing when you wore them. It is stressful to think you need to buy a bigger size. And I will add that it's doubly stressful if that bigger size is not a conventional, quote, straight size that's available in every retail store on the surface of the earth. It's stressful to think about money that might have been, wasted on these clothes that you potentially never even wore. And it is stressful to swallow the idea that what if you are at this bigger size forever and never go back to these clothes? But that's where we need to really stop and dig in. Because if you have that fear, even if it's a teensy tiny little bitty inkling of a thought that you are scared to be in a larger body, we need to, with complete transparency, understand where that's coming from, because that is the crux of the issue. That one thought highlights exactly what I talk about all the time on this podcast, which is both the external daily influence of diet culture that we are confronted with every day, and also this conditioned, internalized anti-fat bias that is imprinted in our minds and has been for a very long time. So what exactly is the fear of being in a larger body? Because it's based in fear. Are you afraid you're going to be rejected by your partner, by your friends, by your social contacts? Are you afraid that you are going to develop some sort of health condition? Are you afraid that when you go back to the doctor, they're going to harass you and give you a hard time? Are you afraid that you can't participate in some activity or a sport or go on some trip that maybe was something you did in a smaller body? And the hardest one to really look in the mirror and admit is that you do think that being in a larger body says something about you, your value, your behavior, your personality, your abilities. And that's okay if that's what you're thinking. All right, it's okay. But you have to know you're not free from diet culture yet. You've got more work to do. And, to kind of wrap this up, it is getting dressed right now when our clothes don't fit, as we're coming out of a pandemic where we were isolated from every sense of familiarity for a year and a half. This is a emotionally provocative experience. But here's what you're going to do. Number one, clean out the closet. Things that you can't wear right this minute, get them out. Get them out. Away from your visual field. Put them in a box, put them in another room, whatever it is. If you, number two, can buy new clothes, that's great. Buy new clothes in the size you have now. Get clothes that are stylish, that are colorful, that fit your personality, because your personality isn't dependent on your size, right? We agreed on that. So get what you love. Now, if you don't have the financial means to go buy new clothes, I understand that that's a situation a lot of people are in. So consider consigning some of your old clothes to, trade in on these apps that I mentioned, or, trading with a friend, swapping with a friend, even borrowing clothes that fit might be an option. But you've got to wear clothes that fit so that you're not reminded every minute that your body has changed, and you don't have to process this psychological burden every minute. And then here's the deal. Once you are dressed in your new clothes or borrowed clothes or swapped clothes or whatever that fit your body now, do the thing. Go do the thing where you know your value lies, where you know the meaning of your life is. So go out with your friends, go on a date, volunteer to give that presentation at work, put yourself out there in your business, show up and do what you were made to do, show what you're really made of and bring it to the table. The more energized and ambitious you are about the experiences you want to have and the way you want to show up in the world, the less and less and less the clothes will influence your thoughts. And that goes for people in any size body. And then the last thing I hear all the time is, I hear you, I know that, but I just don't feel good. I just don't feel good in my body right now. Okay, then do something that feels good. Not weight loss, not trying to micromanage your body, but something that feels good to your body. Learn to cook something new. Go outside. Try a new hobby or a new activity. Go visit somebody. Make a phone call. Journal. Do yoga. Start a habit of, walking your dog more often. Add. All right? And honor yourself instead of punishing yourself constantly. Because if you just don't feel good in your body, the answer to feeling good is not going to be taking on another diet that is restrictive, that is mentally exhausting, that is time consuming, that is expensive, and has a less than 2% chance of, quote, working. And by working, I only mean weight loss. That doesn't even mean it fixes any other issue. So this year was hard, super hard. It's not over either. But you survived it because you're here listening to my podcast and you did the very best in the situations that you were dealt. So that deserves more respect and less shame. And so every day when you get dressed, you deserve to respect yourself and not shame yourself. And you don't need to fall prey to the diet culture blame game and, don't feel too beat up by their marketing. That's all it is. It's just marketing. That's it works. They're good at it and they prey on our insecurities. So don't fall for it. So I feel like I was really talking to you today because I was really talking to myself and what I have, had to go through the last few months as, yes, my body is bigger than it was 18 months ago. And a lot of my clothes that I had before just don't fit. That's it. Bodies change, full stop. They change because of babies and menopause and illness and injuries and aging and pandemics. We were not meant to look the same forever. But the body works. The body works. It is designed to work every minute of every day. And the way you're going to feel better is by becoming a partner with that. And you're not, you don't have a choice. The bottom line is it's like an arranged marriage. You don't have a choice of your partner, but you do have a choice how you view the relationship, and you have a choice on the actions you take that either honor it and respect it or not. So it's easier said than done. I realize that, but hopefully I've given you some good starting points so that you don't have to fight this fight with yourself every morning in your closet. All right, I'm here to support you. Support is what this is all about. And speaking of support, I just want to mention one more time before I leave you today that my group coaching program is opening in 2 weeks. The enrollment starts August 2nd and the waitlist is open today. That's where the secret is, doing these things in a community of other women doing the same things. learning the same stuff, going through the same problems, and being led by somebody who's a professional who can bring you the evidence, the support, and really the camaraderie that you need to compress time so you're not stuck in this no man's land in between dieting and truly not dieting. It's a messy middle space that you'd want to minimize your time hanging out in. So we don't want to mess around. We have done enough messing around for decades with diet culture. I would love to have you in my program this next go around, and there's going to be some awesome bonuses for the group that signs up this time that I have never had before. So the early birds are going to get the big worms, as I like to say. So the links are in the show notes if you're interested in finding out more, and I hope I get to see you there. And we will continue this conversation as we do every Wednesday with a new Eatfluencer podcast. So thanks for joining me today. Until next time. Thank you so much for being here today. If you love what you've learned, follow me on social media at Maggie Landis MD, and you'll never miss a thing. You can also check out my website at maggielandismd.com and sign up to be part of our community of eaters. Thanks again for stopping by. We'll talk again soon.